got the to feed me. Real talk!
You're now listening to Divas 101, counting down the 101 moments that rocked, shocked, and made WWE Women's Wrestling history. This week's episode, Moment 98, the brawl between the women of the 90s.
Hey everyone, it's Tommy Purr, the man diva of professional wrestling, and the man who's going to wipe you all over the floor like a fine Picasso. And with me as always is...
I'm the dead bod demigod, and I'm gonna wipe you all over the mat. My name's Joey Mayberry.
And we are rebels from the untamed future. And God bless you, Gertrude Vachon, aka Luna. God, what a legend. This episode is going to be super fun because Joey has never seen this segment, which is what we're going to cover today. And I can't wait to get his feedback and hear all about it. This is episode 4 of Divas 101, where we count down 101 moments that rocked, shocked, and made WWE Women's Wrestling history.
Herstory. And this was fun. I enjoyed it.
This was fun. Today's episode is entitled Women of the 90s. Because this is what this feud was actually nicknamed. It was between Luna Vachon and one of my personal favorites, Miss Sensational Sherri. Oh God, I miss her so much.
But Sherri gets left out of the equation when talking about women's wrestling way too often.
Yeah, but now that Fabulous Moolah is dead and canceled, it's kind of we get more of Sherri. You know what I'm saying? So it's rightfully so. I think I think Sable is the original diva because she coined the term diva. That was her character. She was the diva. But and I know Tammy Lynn Sitch always says that she was the prototype. She was the first diva. But if you think about it, if you're talking about
Tammy doesn't say anything because it's rude to talk with your mouth full. But let's go ahead and talk about WWE's current stance on divas a little bit because they don't really acknowledge anyone. They're like, Alundra Blaze happened, and then Trish and Lita.
Yeah, Alundra Blaze, and then just skipped right over to Trish Stratus. You know, it was. But I think nowadays a lot of people are really no. We want Luna recognized and we want Sherri recognized in China, and yet people still shit on Sable. I am not a fan. And you know what? All jokes aside about Tammy Lynn Sitch, Sunny was an icon of the WWF 90s. You know what I'm saying? So we can't.
Oh, 100%. I'm never going to discount what Sunny did as a character.
Yeah.
But if we're going to use the government name, then we're going to talk.
The government. But basically with the divas, if we're talking about people who were the prototype, I definitely think Sable and Sunny aside, it would probably go to Miss Elizabeth and Sensational Sherri. Go ahead. Yeah.
I just had nothing else to say other than I just need Sherri emphasized so much more. And just the gambit of women's wrestling. This woman did almost everything that you could possibly do in this business.
Everything. This woman, Sensational Sherri, could talk and play character, and she could be a heel and a face, and she could manage, and she could wrestle, and she was jumping off of cages for Christ's sake. Hello, who does that during that time? Sherri does.
Sensational Sherri does.
And so what we're taking a look at today with women, I don't know, women of the 90s storyline. So we all remember the unfortunate incident with Sherri Martel when she was managing Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels pulled her into the line of fire, and Marty Jannetty hit her with the glass mirror that she used to bring out with Shawn. So again, one of the coolest spots ever. One of the first for the women. Hello, she took that like a champ. This led to Sherri coming out at, I believe it was Royal Rumble, to stand in a neutral corner and then turn against Michaels, which led into her being in Tatanka's corner when he faced Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 9. And who did Shawn Michaels have in his corner? Joey, who did Shawn Michaels have in his corner?
Sensational Sherry.
You stupid slut.
Shawn Michaels had Luna Vachon in his corner.
Oh, that makes sense.
He's had 2 bottles of wine, folks. He had a rough day today. We're just going to let that slide for Joey.
Okay, let it slide, but also remain the fact I didn't start watching wrestling until 2000. So,
but I'm a big Sensational Sherry fan, so it's kind of like, you know, this is kind of one of her highlights from WWF. And Luna, Joey, you got to go watch that clip too. Luna beats the hell out of Sherry at ringside, then beats her up backstage in like such a violent ambush that like the women today still can't even like quite master. And I think it's also because they respected each other and they were good friends behind the scenes. So it's kind of like you can beat the shit out of your friends. Which, by the way, how are your welts, Joey?
If you're going to slap someone, sweetheart, put your weight into it. Like this.
After
they're gone.
Are they gone?
Yeah.
Are they gone? Okay. Just making sure. For those who don't know, Joey and I wrestled in a strap match, and that was a lot of fun. Again, a match that we drew heavy inspiration from Luna when she faced Sable at Royal Rumble 1999. So Joey got to be the Luna. It was fantastic. So anyways, with this whole build up between Luna and Sherry, things came to a head on the April 12th, 1993 edition of Monday Night Raw, where Luna was interviewed by some jackass. I don't know who this interviewer was, because this was before my time too when I got into wrestling. But for those of you who are listening on Spotify or other streaming audio platforms, you're going to miss any visual aids that I provide, because this guy is dressed like really horribly. Like, I mean, what was he wearing? That vest with that printed shirt?
Oh, I mean, it was quintessential just, oh, I'm on television in the 90s. No one cares what I'm wearing.
I'm the dad of a Nickelodeon character. That's exactly how it felt to me. And he
was Doug Funny's dad.
He looked so disinterested in the interview too, which also pisses me off about wrestling shows, when the interviewer or the announcer looks and sounds disinterested.
Like, you're supposed to make the story. You can't be disinterested.
Exactly. You're like the narrator. You're supposed to help us get from point A to point B and tell us, you know, like, help move the story along.
Right.
Thank Christ for Luna, because that woman, that was, I'm sure we butchered what she was saying. Which, guys,
it's just my Luna impersonation that I'm going to keep doing.
Which, guys, if you don't know Luna Vachon, that wasn't even her real voice. This woman was beautiful and had to make herself ugly because she wanted to be a heel like her Aunt Vivian, who was also a wrestler. And she uglied herself up, and because people said she was too cute and pretty to be a heel. And she basically said, fuck you, and did that. And then made herself quote unquote ugly, because I still think Luna looked great. And made her voice like this. Otherwise, she was very soft-spoken and had a very nice voice. And out comes Sherry Martel, dressed in a tea doily. Sherry, I love you. I'm so sorry. Girl, what is she wearing? Joey, describe it for me.
So she was wearing a proper 1860s tea fit, and you wore that in order to get your biscottis to dip into your tea.
We'll get to Sherry's biscottis in a second, because her biscottis were all out in this cat fight. Spoiler alert. Sherry comes out with her perm, because this is the 90s. Her perm, her elegant face makeup, and that's not sarcasm. She did have elegant face makeup, but just this. I would have liked the outfit if it wasn't pants. It
was for a fight though, so like I get it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. She comes out in a solid white top with doily sleeves. Like they're supposed to look lacy, these lacy white sleeves, but I'm like, girl, no. No, 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 no. And the pants match, and she's wearing flats, which I'm like, I know you're prepared for a fight, but girl, you're sensational Sherri. Like, I mean,
sensational, but like a sensational tea party. I'm gonna go dance with some penguins.
If anyone can look good if anyone can make a bad tea party outfit look good, it was sensational Sherri.
But can we talk about, like, speaking of outfits, what Luna was wearing? Because Luna just looked like she came to fight in the trailer park. Like,
Luna looked like Courtney Love on a bender going to an aerobics class.
Courtney Love on a bender going to an aerobics
I know that's redundant. Courtney Love on a bender. That's totally redundant. I'm sorry.
No, I just want that on a t-shirt.
Courtney Love on a bender going to
an aerobics class.
She had the China pants, the stretch pants that had the cuts in the side, and she had her thong showing. You know, I'm pretty sure it's where Lita got
aerobicized Courtney.
And then she had you know, just like the flash dance top with like the over the shoulder thing going on. And so basically Sherri comes out sounding like everyone's drunk aunt at the family reunion. Hey, little girl! Hey, you want a piece of me?
Got a point there.
And you want a piece of me, little girl? Well, you're gonna get it.
Whoa, look out! Look out!
And then, okay, Joey, what does Luna say?
Ah! My guy scared my cat. I drag you all over the mat.
Yeah, she's I called ourselves rebels from the untamed wild future. She called herself a bandit, which I think I have it written down. I am a bandit from the wild, untamed future. Why are you taking my word for it? Roll the fucking clip.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
I am a bandit from the wild, untamed future.
I will wipe you all over the mat
like a fine Picasso.
And then after doing that, like, Sherri is like guffawing, like she's laughing at her, right? And she goes, you know, basically Sherri says that she has faced bigger men than Luna will ever be woman.
Hey!
Whoa.
I have stood up against bigger men than you will ever be woman.
And Luna's facials are so good in this clip. Like, and the crowd's eating it up. You gotta love the early 90s. They just were eating this shit up, right? And I'm pretty sure this was pre-Springer, right?
Yeah, well, this is just like that good time of wrestling where it's just like, hit him, get the chair. It's like that chick in the Shrek movie that's like watching Shrek beat you. It's like, get the chair, get the chair.
And also, this was pre-China, pre-Sable. WWF was getting ready to reboot the women's division the following year with Medusa. So this is kind of like big. Was it the following year? No, later in the year. This is 1993. So the reboot was going to happen later in the year. So this was kind of like the fans didn't really get a lot of woman-on-woman action, you know? And
you know, HLA over there, Tommy.
I was just about to say that. Flash forward 10 years later in 2003, Dawn Marie and Tori Wilson. But anywho, it's what I love so much is that Sherri calls out the badly dressed interviewer and says, you know, I thought you had more respect for this company than bringing this trash out here, basically. And then she says, you want a piece of me? You got it, little girl. And Sherri lifts her leg and, like, metaphorically pisses all over this segment because she owns it and kicks Luna, like, her leg goes around the interviewer and kicks Luna right in the face, catches her off guard, and Luna sells it like a champ. I was like, this is fucking amazing.
And then they go right into just the latched on brawl and head straight for the guardrail into the crowd, getting stripped, getting everything. Like, this is great.
Mm-hmm. And then like Sherry gives her like a suplex right on the arena floor. Like,
and it was like a very proper suplex. Like, it wasn't a snap suplex. It was like literally the mechanisms of squat and lift and torque and fall. Like, I was like, okay.
She bend and snapped that bitch right on the fucking pavement. I love it.
From the future.
And then, but Luna got some great shots in. She hit her with a belt, and then she like punched her with something right in the face, and then Sherry sold it like an Acme cartoon character.
They both were overselling to perfection, but not like overselling to where it looks hokey, which was great.
Yeah, they did what any two veteran performers would do, or good performers would do. They listened to that crowd and they just ate it up. And the fact that like they're doing it right in front of Vince and Macho Man on commentary, and you know Vince like just keep on them, because at that time, like honestly, like fights like that, that's when the referees would come out and break things up, pull them apart. They like let them go at it for a minute before anyone came to break it up.
Yeah, and then right afterwards, Macho Man is with Sherry, be like, "Good job."
Yeah. And then when it doesn't stop, Luna even kicked the cameraman. When Sergeant Slaughter picked her up out of the audience, Luna's like kicking and like the.
That's who that was. I was like, I recognized that face and couldn't put it. Like, okay, that was Slaughter.
So and yeah, like the girls are stripping each other, like full on. Sherry's biscottis were out. The tea party was in full swing.
Luna was doing an early homage to Lita with that thong.
Somewhere a young Amy Dumas was like, well, that's something there. But yeah, for anyone who ever said, oh, Sherry and Luna were real wrestlers, they weren't TNA, I say look at this clip. Because look at half the stuff that Sherry and Luna wore. They knew how to sell their bodies, but they made it classy. And they made it fit their character. And somehow Sherry got out of her pants. I don't remember her pants getting ripped off, but then when we see Sherry, she's being interviewed by Macho Man at ringside, and she's missing her pants, but she has her like silky like bloomers, and she's covering her biscottis with Macho Man's hat.
It just sounds like me with my wrestlers as a kid. Like, some reason they don't have pants anymore, and they're wearing someone else's gear.
Yeah. And I love how Luna comes storming out. Again, why didn't, like storyline logic, is everyone backstage an idiot? How come no one kept this feral animal backstage? But here comes Luna, and you know it was Vince on his headset going, this fucking crowd loves that shit. It's good shit. Send out Luna again. Send her out. And then Macho Man, I love this. He's like, oh yeah, how do you feel? Blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, hey, give me back my hat. Because he sees Luna coming, and he's just like, give me back my hat, and takes his hat
away.
Give
me the expensive piece of my gear real quick, because I don't want this ruined.
Yeah, and then Luna like attacks Sherry from behind while she's inside the ring, and there's like a random wrestler in the ring too. Like, it was so funny. And like Luna straight up belly chops the shit out of Sherry, which I laughed so hard. Because that's the one rule when I wrestle Michelle Morgan. She's like, don't belly chop me, because she belly chops everyone. So I'm like, oh, I'm belly chopping you, you know?
I don't want to be chopped in the belly.
I chopped you in the belly in the strap match.
I don't remember that.
But this brawl was this was the blueprint for how these brawls between women should. I love the latch dog fighting, as you called it. I've never heard that term before, but that's amazing. But like, I hate when the girls go right into it and it looks like they're just hugging, or like, yeah.
Let me grab your shoulders and scream.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. You know who was always the biggest offender of that I noticed? Was like Kelly.
Kelly was a bad one about it in ECW. I think she got better.
This fight made the list because it was like the first real cat fight on WWF television, I believe.
And it was like it wasn't even a cat fight because you didn't really have like the stereotypical like
Yeah,
I couldn't see Taz going or Joey Styles going cat fight.
This was and I'm not calling the women dogs, but this was a dog fight. This was like an underground dog fight. Like this is illegal. They're gonna kill each other. Someone's gonna get hurt. And I was like, oh my God. And that's how you know they're best friends. Not best friends, but good friends. Because you would only let your good friend beat your ass like that.
And then be friends with them afterwards.
Yeah. And Luna even went on to say in some shoot interviews that like Sherry was like her favorite person to work with. And then the second one was Jacqueline.
God, if I could work with or just pick the brain of Sherry, God, I'd be so excited.
So fantastic. And then what eventually happened was this was supposed to lead to Luna and Bam Bam Bigelow facing off against Sherry and Tatanka. But then Sherry failed a drug test. And with the whole steroid scandal against WWF and all of the news, they had to let her go.
That's sad.
And it's really sad. It's really unfortunate because I think Luna also had injured her arm, like her own arm, and was in a cast at the time. And so like they had to like hold off until she was like fully healed. And it was just such an unfortunate like series of events because
come on, Lemony Snicket.
Because then like the women's title was brought back. And then you had Heidi Lee Morgan and Bull Nakano and Alundra Blaze. And it was like Sherry missed out on all of that.
I mean, she missed out on so much. Could you imagine Sherry getting to play a pivotal role in the early like 2000s women's division? It'd be wild.
Could you imagine if Sherry, and since we have time, we can discuss this fantasy booking too. Could you imagine if Sherry had stuck around just at least in a manager role, right? Stuck around and was around for the Attitude Era.
God.
Could we have seen Sherry in Generation X teamed up with Shawn Michaels again instead of ravishing Rick Rude?
We would have definitely seen Sherry as women's champion, I believe.
Oh, definitely. Oh, fantastic. Definitely. Would we have seen Sherry versus Chyna?
Maybe. Oh, no, don't give me all of these things. God, I want that.
Because imagine this, Sherry versus Sunny. Not even in terms of wrestling, right? Let's say they still got rid of the women's belt, right?
Right.
And everything played out the way it was supposed to, but Sherry was just there, right? Sherry as part of DX. Sherry versus Chyna. Sherry in Shawn Michaels' corner again with Triple H having Chyna in his corner, and then leading up to them becoming DX together. Sherry versus Sunny. Sherry versus Marlena. Sherry
versus Stephanie.
Stephanie, Sable, Jacqueline. You know, like Ivory. Sherry versus Ivory. That would be fucking amazing.
I need it. I need it really hardcore. Like, God, that's sad.
No fuck, silly dumb shit.
It is sad. But you know what? She had a great career. Like, everything happens for a reason. And she went on to manage Ric Flair. She went on to manage Harlem Heat. She made a very good career for herself despite the setback. And so did, I mean, even though Luna never became women's champion, she still did amazing for herself, despite always being held back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people forget. Luna was the second woman to ever be on the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500.
Luna deserves that belt at least once. She really did, and it saddens me.
Well, did you hear Medusa had said that she offered a job out to Luna during a live event with the belt, and Luna cried because no one had ever offered that to her before. And Alundra, Medusa, whatever, went to go get pinned, and the referee, she was just going to lay there and let Luna win, and the referee refused to count.
Oh,
yeah, like that's just like, oh, and now it's like, see, Vince, you should have let her do that because you could have just put the belt on Luna, who was fiercely loyal, because Alundra was just going to trash that belt anyway.
Right.
But then would we have had the Monday Night War? Because she did fire that first shot.
Right. Would we have had the? Now I'm just thinking, like, would we have had the Monday Night War? That's a
well,
that's a statement, Tommy. That's a big question. You're going into like the Marvel Ultimate Universe, like.
Well, you want to know something that's going to blow your mind? I hate the whoever shot the video took it down. It pisses me off, but we all know I have the memory of an elephant. So a while ago, there was a shoot interview with Luna in a hotel room, and they were asking her questions about like working with Sable and all the standard stuff, really, like Sable, Moolah, Sherry, etc., etc. And I wish I could find this shoot interview because it wasn't like an RF video shoot. Okay. It was like in a hotel room. She was sitting on a bed, like holding a pillow. She looked really good. And they were talking about bringing Alundra back into WWF I think it's before they decided to bring back Jacqueline, or before they hired Jacqueline, they wanted to bring Alundra back to work with Sable. And Luna heard about it, and she went to Linda McMahon, and her words, I'm just saying what she said, went to Linda McMahon and said, why would you do that after what she did? And she talked them out of it.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. And I'm like, Rena Lesnar, you owe Luna so much because Medusa would have beat your ass.
Like, she would have. And unapologetically beat her ass.
And we all know I'm the Sable Mark. I'm sorry, but like I think Rena could probably hold her own in a fight, but only for so long because Alundra wrestled in Japan and was no nonsense. And could you just imagine, dude? Could you imagine that shit?
Oh, yes, and it would be bloody and vicious and awful.
I'm like, wow. But the fact that like Luna was such a fiercely loyal company woman, and she was like, why would you bring her back after this? Give her mad props and respect. And a lot of people don't know she's like the first woman to compete in a cage match, I think. Stevie
already involved in it.
Yeah, Stevie Richards, her and him one-on-one. So I think she's like the first intergender cage match. And in a big function.
Both of these women, Luna and Sherry, they just deserved so much more than they actually got. I wish for more for both of them.
At least we can take solace in knowing that, Sherry's in the Hall of Fame and they gave Luna the Legacy Award. Like, she's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So,
and I know people go, it wasn't a real induction. There was no speech. Well, she's dead, and maybe the family doesn't want to come, like they don't want to speak on her behalf. It makes people uncomfortable,
Right.
And also it's kind of, the legacy induction is good because it recognizes that her career spanned more than just WWE.
Yeah.
So
it spanned wrestling, period.
Precisely. So, I mean, Luna was amazing. And I think people need to look her up more often. And, she never really dogged the sexy girls either. She's like, that's their thing, let them do their thing,
She kind of embraced it.
I think she knew how to make it work for herself,
right.
Which is what I think most wrestlers need to learn. Like, you can be handsome if it fits your character. Make it work for your character,
Yeah.
You can be hot, make it work for your character. So,
and if you don't make it work, you're failing. Sorry, bye.
Outside of this one, how would you rank this on a cat fight, dog fight, bitch fight, brawl scale?
On a
1 to a 10.
Scale of what? 1 to 10?
1 to a 10.
This was a solid 7.
Really? What to you would be a solid 10? Like who? Like
a little bit more like just all out brawl. Like when I
Yeah.
think of like backstage, like or any sort of like brawl kind of cat fight. Like I remember like the Trish and Lita one where Trish was finally up in Lita's face like about the baby and they broke out and just beat each other down.
I think what you should be more concerned about is your pregnancy weight, because a little chubby.
Look out here!
Ivory and Tori had a pretty damn good backstage brawl.
that was a match though. That was the first Divas Hardcore match.
Was it?
It was.
Oh, okay. Well, it was good.
Spoiler alert, we will be covering that on this list too.
Okay. I don't know. It was just watching it. I took a solid 7 for me. That's just my personal take.
I mean, yeah, I didn't know if you had a person like a top like an actual 10 in mind that you're gauging that off of.
No, just kind of like because everything is so subjective and so just like what's perfection, what's not.
Yeah.
You gotta really pop me, and this one popped me, but it got me like not like screaming, but like a nice solid 7. I'm a solid 7. I can take it. Maybe no lube.
Stop it! Oh, but that concludes this episode of Divas 101. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am not a badly dressed interviewer who looks like a 90s Nicktoons dad, Tommy Purr.
And I've had 2 bottles of wine because there was a boot on my car this morning. I am Joey Mayberry.
And don't forget, do not go out of the house wearing a doily. Sensational Sherry pulled it off, but you're not Sensational Sherry. We'll see you next week, guys.
Stay a doily bowl.
And here's a little bit of a preview as what you can expect from the next episode of Divas 101. Bye.
I'm telling you, say no! Just say no! I saw him!
And don't forget, guys, you can follow us on social media. To follow Joey Mayberry, find him on TikTok at joey.mayberry. To follow him on Instagram and Twitter, you can find him at joey_Mayberry. To follow me, Tommy Purr, simply find me on Twitter at rare_form, RAWR_form. And to follow me on Instagram, find me at the_man_diva. You can also follow me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/officiallyperfect. PURR-FECT. And to buy my merch, check out my Store Frontier store at storefrontier.com/merchandise.